Welcome, Punam. Super excited to have you here. Hi, and it's been, I don't know, quite a few years, 6 or 7 years that we've been
I
collaborating
know.
together. So it's just really a privilege to have you on and, be one of the first in our sort of membership group to be a part of our new membership spotlight podcast series that we just started. So yeah, let's just jump straight in and learn a little bit more about SpiceBox Organics, your business, and of course, your new product FERM that's just recently been launched. But before we dive in, maybe Punam, you could just start by telling us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the different brands and the values that you drive with them.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, and it's nice to talk to you, Heidi. Um, so basically, Spicebox Organics was born out of the passion for conscious living, for clean food, for whole food, organic certified products. I moved here from New York in 2006, and in those years, I was figuring out organic products. I couldn't find everything under one place. I could find them in all different sorts of places. So I thought, why not put it all under one roof? There was another thing that also bothered me. I mean, I could find lots of places that said organic, but I couldn't find the source of it. Where did they come from? And is there any certification behind it? How do we know that it's fully 100% organic? And is it non-GMO? So these questions, led to the development and the launch of Spicebox Organics, where we wanted to educate the community, build a community around us, talk about the environmental impacts and the decisions we make on and the choices we make on food. So that's how we launched Spicebox Organics. And fast forward a couple more years, we decided to launch our cafe along with it. So that's how we launched a cafe, because we said, why don't we also educate further by providing food that people can actually taste and enjoy? There was all this perception about organic food. Is it tasty? So we said, let's just launch a cafe. So from that, it came into food production, and firm became naturally aligned because of the requirement we felt of plant-based protein that was clean, that was good, that was healthy, and it was so. Tempeh has been a part of my life. I can go on and on about tempeh. So I don't know when you want me to stop, but that's how firm came into being as a product which was launched by Spicebox Organics, and because it was so special, it needed to be launched as such. That's that.
That's great. I mean, you touched on a few things that are really important to
Yeah.
talk about. First of all, why did you, why was organic so important to you? And I love that you linked it to, is it really tasty? Because people do have this perception that organic food or plant-based food is boring. I even had a client once, they kind of taste like cardboard, and I thought that was
Yeah.
such a memorable way to describe it, even though it wasn't positive. So yeah, just touch on why even go there? Why organic to begin with?
Well, that was a part of my life. All my life, I've been exposed to organic foods, and I feel that's the highest quality food out there. And if you want to put something good in your body, you got to put the right one. And that's how organic is. Has I mean, it's been there since my development, right from India to Canada to New York City. And because New York City is
Mm,
where I studied, I went and studied nutrition, advanced studies in nutrition, which
mm.
kind of culminated my entire journey. My cultural background, other cultural backgrounds, putting all that together and understanding the benefits and the impact it can have on your health. And not only that, it can have a huge impact on the environmental concerns that we have today. So that just became a part of the whole journey, where you understood that the planet is better off with organic products and cleaner products with
Yeah.
regenerative farming, which came in much later, the talk about it. But this is where we just wanted people to start eating more clean, less
And
chemicals.
so you talked about clean. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. How do you define clean for SpiceBox Organics? What does
Well,
that mean for
organic
you?
products are cleaner than otherwise grown with different preservatives, chemical preservatives, or chemical fertilizers that would definitely have an adverse effect on your health, which we have seen around
Mm,
us. And um, and that's how Spicebox Organics became the launch in Hong Kong, because I felt that the community really needed to have a one-stop place. So we called it a one-stop place for all your pantry and your household needs. Even we even started incorporating, conscious living, like a lifestyle in a line of products for your household, which were clean supplies, which were environmentally friendly. I mean, you could literally water your plants with the water that came out of it. So that's how that's how
Yeah.
we went even further.
I remember I discovered the laundry egg at your store. That was, the way to do laundry without having to buy these big, 2-liter bottles of washing liquid for your
Yes,
clothing. And that was a great discovery because you already got rid of so much plastic, but also the harsh chemicals as well,
exactly. Also the
which
soap nut
end up
line.
getting into our
Yeah, we
rivers.
also have another one, the soap nut line. There's Dr. Bronner's as well. So there's a lot of amazing
Yeah.
natural cleaning products that we showcase. Yeah.
And do you think at that time or even today, is there a gap in the market for this organic lifestyle, healthy, sustainable lifestyle way of living? Is it increasing? How have you seen it changed over the
Oh,
last 5 years?
drastically. I've seen a change. When we first started, people were like, "Are you crazy?" They actually looked at me that, like, as if people would really understand. And I remember a friend of mine saying, "I don't know. I don't really believe in organic. What does that actually mean?" And I said, well,
Yeah,
and the way I answered her was like, well, I noticed that a lot of young mothers want to feed their kids, their children, organic products, if not for themselves, at least for their
yeah.
children. So that is a start to see how some people are getting conscious about at least one area. How about,
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned the children because it's also the way where I began becoming interested as well in sustainability in food. So I think in that sense, is your demographic in your market mostly women and mums, or is it also other
well,
groups?
we see a lot more men today than we did in the past.
Yeah,
There were
yeah,
women, there were young mothers, there were actually cancer patients, a lot of them who started in getting into cleaner eating because of their journey that they were in at that time, and that's how it started. It was very new at the time, but it grew, and just in our little pocket in Saianpur, it grew very well. And that's how we said, hey, okay, now that people want to, and everywhere we basically always go with customer feedback. So our customers started asking us questions: how do I cook this, how do I do this, how do I do that? So I was like, you know what, like, why don't we just do a cafe, so at least we can start making them taste our lentils, our beans, our soups, our smoothies, and figure out from there. And it's so simple that they'd be like, oh, I can make a salad similar to this. So that's how we started with food.
and perhaps that is one of the barriers, right? Learning how to cook healthily because it probably takes a little bit more time because you're starting from very raw
Yes,
ingredients. So it does make sense to have that kind of cooking element there, and
exactly.
having your sessions.
Yes.
Yeah,
At
I
that
like
time, we
that.
didn't. There were not many cans available. You see, canned lentils was such a sought after product because it was so easy to open up a can and you've got boiled beans inside, and most people really like that. The only problem with us is we couldn't find BPA free cans, and we needed to get organic and then BPA free cans, which we have today. So for some, we do
Yeah,
have,
tell us about BPA
because
for
it's
those
the
who
way
don't
you
know.
seal the can. It's a chemical process, and that's how it was supposed to be toxic. So we used to bring them in until it came into the market, and now we have BPA free cans. But ideally, you should always use the raw beans. You regenerate them by soaking them, you boil them, you cook them the way you want to. The ideal way is that we still make our hummus from pre-soaked beans, and we don't use cans at all. But there are certain beans that we would still have for some people, and that's still available, but not all the beans. So we have every
Yeah,
grain
because
that you
yeah,
can think of, from the millets, even sustainable grains, the ancient grains, all the flours. That's the first step. All the spices, all the right oils, cold pressed oils. So all your cooking needs, your salts, your condiments, everything is available for you to pick up and take them home and cook for your family. You know?
yeah, that's fantastic. I do think a lot of people are worried about the time it takes to cook from fresh, and I think there is a bit of a stigma that if it's coming from a can or a jar that it's not going to be as fresh and healthy, but actually it
It
can
can
be,
be.
if you get
If
the
it's if
good
it's good
quality
quality, it
on.
can be.
Yeah,
It's not that bad. If you look
yeah,
for it and it's organic and it's in
yeah,
brine, you can always wash the brine off, you know. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we should dispel the myth that it takes too long to cook
Yes.
healthy
Yes.
and eat healthy rather.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So let's talk
yeah,
a little.
yeah, no,
So
go
sorry,
ahead,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was going to start talking a little bit about tempeh because you kind of touched on it very briefly. I know for me, who I've not used tempeh much, but it would be much easier if I had instructions to go along with it. How has your tempeh brand evolved? Because I know at the beginning you were really serving more B2B, working directly with chefs, and now it's kind of launched and evolved into its own thing, and you have your own brand for it, which is FERM.
Yes.
So maybe share a little bit about the evolution of
Well,
that.
it's a natural evolution of my journey in the food space. Having spent years at Spicebox Organics, educating customers about clean, healthy living, we saw firsthand how fermentation could play a bigger role in nutrition as well as food innovation. Now, tempeh is something I discovered in New York City for the first time, but I had been exposed to a lot of fermented foods earlier on in my life. But we felt that firm could build on the foundation by putting fermentation at the core of its process, celebrating it. It's not just a preservation method, but it's a way to create nourishing, gut friendly, environmentally conscious foods. So it's allowed me at least to go deeper into product development and explore new ideas around it. So it's not just about tempeh, it's about fermentation because the minute you ferment these beans, it enhances the nutrition to a high level. And that's how it becomes more of a complete protein. It has essential amino acids, it's got other nutrients in it, it's gut friendly. Plus, we felt there was a strong need for it because there were so many plant-based proteins out there which were processed. They were not
Yeah.
necessarily healthy. They were helping people get off meat for sure and being environmentally friendly for that matter, but from that side of things. But when it came to actual health, they were not very, very effective. And they were not effective for us. We didn't want to cook with it. And there were a lot of other chefs who didn't want to cook with it. So tempeh is because it's natural, it's a natural fermentation process.
Yeah.
It made it easy for people to understand how clean and healthy it is, you know?
And do you think that's something that's challenging to source, and that's why you've had to kind of create it from scratch yourself? Or was it always something that you just wanted to try and see if it would take off? Because it seems like quite a lot of work to do to get, really make tempeh from
Oh, well,
scratch.
it is something that I wanted to do because I've always loved tempeh. I took to it really well when I first had it. And I was always focused on how do I make tempeh on my own. And we managed to do that. We managed to get to that spot. And then we said, how do we get people to understand how to eat it, right? I know like the process of it because they come perfectly packed in a nice block. And that's the raw version of it. Though you all need to kind of go through a one-step process of boiling or steaming it before cutting it up, pan frying it and treating it like tofu. So there's a bit of a thought process behind it. So we said we wanted to get more
Yeah,
innovative with it. We started creating other food lines around it. We started creating meatballs and
yeah.
mince and burger patties. And today you can actually be really versatile with the product once you get the hang of
Yes,
it.
you're making it not just from soy, right? You're using chickpeas and lentils and legumes, all these different kind of
Yes.
varieties. So what does that bring to the table in terms of nutrition
Well,
and culturally as well? Because it's different ingredients.
yeah, that's such a good question. Because we felt, okay, remember quinoa? How quinoa became blew up and everybody wanted to
Yeah,
eat quinoa a few years ago. It became hard for the people of the land to actually get quinoa for themselves because the whole world wanted it. It became
yeah,
super expensive. And I get worried about soya. Because soybean, firstly, there are two kinds of soybeans. There's soya that's been grown for animal feed, so we
yes,
differentiate
yeah,
that
we
by
know that.
only
Yeah,
focusing on organic and non-GMO beans. So soya is definitely something that takes to high protein, that takes to fermentation very well. But people don't realize there are other beans that do the same. There's chickpeas, there's mung beans, there's black soya beans, any bean. for that matter, can actually be enhanced in nutrition once you ferment it. So
Yeah,
why not diversify the portfolio so that there's less dependency on only one type of bean,
yeah.
making it
And
more
there's also
sustainable?
the juice of the chickpeas, right? Some chefs are also using the
Ah,
liquid
yeah,
from the chickpeas. Yeah, the
we use the
the fava.
aquafaba. Yeah, that actually
Yeah,
replaces egg
aquafaba.
white for baking. It's something
That's so creative,
we've been
isn't
doing
it?
that at SpiceBox because we make our own
Yeah.
hummus. So the chickpea water is always, we don't waste any of the extra
I can attest to it. It's so delicious. All your different varieties of hummus,
Thank
really,
you.
really delicious.
Thank you.
And so,
So,
on the topic of
yeah.
protein just being it's such a hot topic. Even my 18-year-old is all on about protein. I was just last week in San Francisco at a 1 week training myself, and the big request was protein. We need lots of protein in our lunches. I mean, what is the big deal with people getting so
I
obsessed with
know, it's just
protein
that
right
it's
now?
because they feel that's a one way to keep your weight down, also giving you the
Hmm.
protein content you need. But to be honest with you, you get protein out of different grains as well. So I think it's about having the right balance in your life. However, tempeh gives you the right amount of protein. It does not taste like meat. This is one thing we tell people, but it gives you the right amount of protein. It gives you even extra nutrients like manganese, magnesium, even some calcium. I am a type that when I
Mm.
became vegan, I started struggling with protein deficiencies and iron deficiencies actually. So I told my doctor to give me some time because I was still going through my transition. And in 3 months' time, my
Mm.
iron levels came back right up. So, and it was only
Wow,
by
that's
eating tempeh
incredible.
because I didn't eat anything else as my protein source. And there were other
Yeah,
people,
because a lot of people,
there are other people who've come back and told me the same thing. There are more vegetarian people, or there are more people wanting to eat vegetarian food today, right? It's not, they do
yeah.
eat greens, they do want to eat they do want to eat meat too, but they are diversifying their own food portfolio, and nothing more than adding this sort of protein into the mix.
So it really dispels the perception, doesn't it, that people think plant protein isn't complete and it's not filling. And so there's that. I guess there's still a lot of education that we need to do
Absolutely.
around the benefits
Absolutely.
of fermented legume-based protein. I think that's a good tip, also for teenage girls, who can be iron deficient. There's so much value in eating this way. But I think that that's a really nice positive case study, a story around how you can take yourself, all the nutrients and vitamins that you need out. Improve your diet through food rather than trying to not necessarily take supplements, which would be an automatic way for many people to go. But you're saying you can do it through
You can
food.
definitely do it through food. And the one important thing about fermented foods is, as that's how FERM has so many different products coming in, is because fermented foods are also gut friendly. And here's the other thing: there are a lot of people who eat meat and still have issues with their gut. They're still not able to absorb protein and good nutrients because of gut health. So you need to first improve your gut health to be able to absorb anything from your food, the nutrients from your food, and nothing like having a complete protein like tempeh, which is already fermented, improves your gut health and helps you absorb those nutrients. Right?
Yeah,
So
and you also touched a lot on the diversification, not just good for gut and human health. You touched on the environmental issues.
absolutely.
So can you speak a little bit to how, telling the story around the environmental footprint of our food, and the diversity of our grains being important to that?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's why, if you kind of shift the narrative from only soya beans to chickpeas to black beans to other beans and getting people to have access to them. There are some people who say they can't eat soya, it doesn't suit them, or some people are allergic, but they would not be allergic to, say, chickpeas or mung beans. And that's how we address all concerns that people may have. That's one side. The other side is that it makes things more sustainable for you from a sourcing point of view too. You get your
Yeah,
beans
and
from different sources. You get a variety of beans, so that spreads the growth of these grains. and you focus on organic and non-GMO beans only. That's what our focus is. We don't want to use anything else. And that's how we differentiate soya beans from the animal or the non-GMO feed that is out there. Because there's a ton of soya, and the quality of soya is questionable everywhere else because of animal feed, and you don't know what's getting out there in the market. So
It's nice that you touched on diversity, because we often talk about there's a really great guide for people who are interested in diversifying their plant proteins, by WWF, the 50 Future Foods. And in that guide, they do talk a lot about the importance of diversifying your diet, but also it helps the planet because we are not just growing, in a monocropped fashion, which is
exactly,
not good for soils.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So there's so many
So
benefits
many.
to eating a
Yeah.
variety rather than sticking to the same kind of beans. And so if I'm eating this tempeh for the first time, your firm tempeh, how are we going to feel, do you think? Not just nutritionally, but emotionally, or any other way. What do you hope people to get out of it, having tempeh for the first time?
Well, I feel when we think about introducing tempeh to people, we first want them to think of texture and taste. And the one thing we tell them is that it doesn't taste like meat, but will give you the same benefits of meat. So as opposed to other processed foods, plant-based protein foods that was out there, they tasted like meat, and we don't want to. We want to differentiate ourselves from that.
Trying to manage the
Exactly,
expectation there so that
exactly.
they don't assume it's a meat
Yeah, so we
alternative.
say, it doesn't taste like meat, but it gives you the same benefits of meat. It's very texture because it's chewy and it's nutty in flavor, in texture, and it's got a really nice, it's got a taste that is slightly different. It's a little bit of an acquired taste, but once you basically, if you create different products out of it, it really appeals to the general audience. But on a general, on just the regular scale of the just the blocks that we have, this is what we tell them: it's texture and taste. We focus on that first, and because of trying to make it more convenient for customers, we decided to create the meatballs and the burger patties and the mints, and we're working on more product innovation to be able to appeal to a larger audience, and it's actually doing really well. Our meatballs are getting into school palettes and school meals. There are chefs using our burger patties because they all understand it's a clean protein. A lot of
I love that, because I was going to ask you,
okay.
does it appeal to Chinese, taste buds? How do you adapt it for Chinese cuisine? And then obviously the Western one you've already mentioned, that's great. Yeah, can it work across different
It
cuisines?
does. Our mince is being used to make mapo tofu in one of the restaurants. We've
Nice.
got a restaurant with two or three, which is a chain of two, three restaurants, local Chinese, and they have mapo tofu on the menu. They're also using a black bean tempeh to create another dish, a local Chinese dish, and that makes us so happy. This is where we wanted to reach, and we want to reach more and more local sources and more local restaurants who can incorporate our this mince. As opposed to, in the past, they used some plant-based mince and it wasn't appealing. A lot of customers stopped liking it. So we hope that this works. It just started a few months ago with them. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
very
very exciting.
exciting to have all these different flavors that you can do with it. So then is that down to the chefs being creative? Or do you collaborate with chefs to sort of help get them kickstarted? Are they pretty kind of independent and they say, okay, we're going to play with this and see how we can make it appeal to schools or to our corporate clients or to our tech clients? How has that been
Actually,
going? Because, I mean, let's get down to
yeah.
business. How does a business work with you to get tempeh into the everyday?
Well, we start with obviously giving them some ready-to-eat samples and making our presentation. But
Right.
most of the time, the chefs get excited to try their own. They want to innovate and create their own meal out of it and their own dish out of it. So most of the time, the chefs are just buying the raw blocks from us. There are some one.
That's
It's really
exciting.
exciting and
Yeah.
very nice to see. that they want to be creative.
I know that you're already doing this in Hong Kong with Sodexo and some other bigger catering companies.
Absolutely.
Is that the direction? Is that where you're going with FERM, or do you also do
We do a
B2C?
lot of B2C from stores. We are actually looking forward to talking to supermarkets if they can carry them, reach out to more mainstream markets. Ideally, we'd love to go even beyond Hong Kong. But again, sustainability is the core. It's one of our values. It's a very important part of it's basically it drives every decision we make. So when it comes to packaging, when it comes to storage, right now we are freezer form because it's a product that's fresh frozen. But we want to try and see if we can innovate further and get it to the fridge level or even shelf stable. So we try to create different products. A lot of things are in the pipeline.
So I love that you take a very holistic approach to sustainability, which we encourage with all people we work with and businesses we work with. So when you say that it has to be sustainable, is it a bit of a trade-off when you think about growing into maybe Canada or other places? You have to manage, well, what does that do to the carbon footprint and on the rest of it? What's stopping you from growing outside of Hong Kong, do you
Well, it's a
think?
challenge. How do you send a frozen container? I mean, that bothers me a lot. You know, the carbon footprint of even if it's by sea, it's frozen. I know people do import frozen foods. I just feel that we could do better than that. And we're trying to get there. We're trying to get there slowly. There are people.
So maybe starting in Asia
Yeah,
first
exactly.
could
Yeah.
be the way
Yeah,
to go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or we do some partnerships where we produce in another country as well. We're looking at that.
That's a nice,
That
exciting
yeah,
opportunity.
if
Yeah.
that happens, that would be really good. But it's better to produce within a general, not too far zone, right? Than go
Yeah.
too far. So yeah, so
Yeah.
we
Great.
look at
That's very
look at
exciting.
these options. But first of all, we want to innovate more. We want to get some shelf stable products too, so it'll be easier
Yeah.
to transfer and transport that.
So you're looking for, so if I'm a chef listening to this, or if I'm a consumer listening to this, what's the best way to connect with you or to try out a firm product?
Or any which way, you can give me a shout, call me up. We have our firm website, which is full of which has our products listed. We have our these products listed on SpiceBox Organics, but the firm website has all our contacts, and one can get in touch with us or through you, Future Green.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And you've also got these wonderful recipes, which is very, your firm website is attractive anyway, but when you really dig into the website, there are some amazing recipes in there.
absolutely. Yeah,
And I love that you put that because it just makes it more accessible. Okay, this is how I can make a delicious meal,
yes,
trying this new raw product.
yes,
So yeah, I would encourage people to try that out if
absolutely.
they want to, and see if they
The
appeal.
first thing I tell people is when many people come to me, they say, "Yeah, but what do I do with the block? How do I cook it?" I'm like,
Yeah,
you know,
I've also asked
so
you
I'm
that
like, okay,
myself.
just take this block, steam it for 15 or 20 minutes, or boil it for 10, 15 minutes, take it out, cut it into cubes, pan fry it, and then treat it like you treat tofu. And they're like,
Right. Yeah.
oh, okay, that's it. Treat it like you treat tofu.
Yeah.
What would you do with tofu? So,
Because these, I feel like, I learn a lot of my own sort of new recipes through just videos, whether it's on Instagram Reels or if it's on YouTube. So just having something visual is always really
I
helpful.
think
And you can really see how simple
I think
it
that's a
is.
great idea. That's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's your
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
opportunity,
Yeah.
Poonam, to do some
Yeah.
cooking reels for Instagram.
Yes.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you, Poonam. That was lovely just to really get the lowdown on your story. We've been collaborating for quite a few years, and this is the first time we're doing it in a podcast style. So hopefully we can reach more people through sharing your story in this way,
Thank you so much.
even outside of just Hong Kong. The idea is that with online you can reach a much wider audience. So hopefully we'll hear from people not just from Hong Kong after this podcast and more around the world.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, and it was so great talking to you, Heidi. Hope to see you soon.
Thanks, Pinam. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Talk
Bye.
soon.